Have you ever quit a job without another lined up for you mental health? How did it turn out? Yes, I quit a very high-paying job. In fact, I was a software engineer. It was great at first. I liked my coworkers, and the company was one of those startups that had a ping pong table and cold brew coffee on tap and all that jazz. It was my first job out of college and I was dazzled by the cool community feel and all the amenities. However, they had no system in place to train me. I was basically expected to just read the code base and just instantly know exactly what to do. My team leader couldn't answer my questions, and I quickly started drowning in work. My once recreational drug use turned habitual. I was railing lines of coke in the bathroom to stay awake because I stayed until 9 p.m. trying to finish projects by the deadline and doing benzos at night to fall asleep. Once I finally started performing well, that only reinforced my terrible habits. I thought that if I stopped self-medicating, I would fall behind and they would fire me. I cried every day. I was also the only female employee on the software team, and I got these paranoid thoughts in my head that my male coworkers didn't really like me. In retrospect, I'm sure my alienation was totally my fault and a result of my anxiety. I didn't even like the programming anymore. When I was in college, I interned with people who were using software to help charities, uncover bogus statistics, and generally lift up communities. My job was nothing like that. The people there acted like they were curing cancer, but the majority of what we did boiled down to helping huge companies build training platforms that were more hip and cool. So I quit. Not just that job, but the whole field. I had started abusing harder drugs as well, and I knew I was going to end up killing myself. I went to rehab, and then I went back to school and got my master's degree in education with a focus in mathematics. I'm a private tutor and a substitute teacher now. I hope to get my PhD one day, but for now I am happy helping young people realize their dreams. I set my own schedule so that I'm able to pursue my passions. Volunteer at a children's hospital tutoring sick kids that need to miss school, and helping young women from local battered women's shelters and homeless shelters learn graphic design and programming so that they can have valuable marketable job skills. I'm 2 years clean from drugs and I have the most wonderful friends and a perfect kitty. I am so happy I quit my job, even though people thought I was insane for leaving the tech field, and I'm sure my mom's friends talked shit about me behind her back. I'm glad I didn't pay them any mind. Left my job of 15 years with nothing lined up because it was gaining me nothing anymore aside from being overused for my job knowledge with no reward. Took a month off. Found another job that pays me more per hour than my last after I got promoted to supervisor after putting in 5 months. Couldn't be happier. I got bored of my life in the UC and sick of my job. So I quit and got a one-way ticket to Australia to start a new life. I quit my job of a year and a half out of anger and spite for my manager, and because of my quickly declining mental health. While it helped at first, the anxiety of not having a steady source of income took a much larger toll on me than anticipated, and I really didn't get to focus on my recovery / therapy for my mental health until I had secured a new job to quell my anxieties. Worked a call center job after 1 week of training and 2 days of actual work. During the training you're shown how it's not possible to order a free trial of these expensive products without seeing the clearly marked, in multiple locations, terms and conditions. But then I got to the floor and these people were old people who were offered a free gift when they bought something on Amazon. They never went to a website and ordered a free trial. They were lied to and then charged $80 plus 3 weeks later. It was a scam built to prey on old people. I had a panic attack on the way to work and quit when I arrived. Fuck that noise. Edit. I missed the part asking how it turned out. Sorry. I was a new mom and we were really hurting for money. That was my first job after having my son and we had to beg money off relatives to stay afloat another month until I found a new job which was much better. I was able to be hired as a substitute for a school district and, a month later, get rehired by the same district as a teacher's aide. Now I'm about to finish my certification and become a teacher. Quit my job at a call center without anything lined up. I used to cry in my car before a shift, used up all my sick days, and it worsened my suicidal thoughts, so I got myself out of there when I couldn't take it anymore. I quietly stood up from my desk and quit on the spot. I had never walked out on a job before. Took me a month to find another job with just slightly less hours, so a little less money, but it was worth it because I'm a lot better mentally and physically, and I like the job. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Edit. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm a young professional now and I'm finishing up an extension program to further my degree. Life's good at the moment. Life has its ups and downs. It's just part of the grind. Also, people have been asking where I'm from minus I'm Canadian. Got burnt out and quit after bullshit management changes. Luckily I saved up a good amount of money to do whatever I wanted for about 4 months until I finally felt the need to better myself and move on with my life. Got another job that was safer than my last and went back to school to further my degree. It was a much needed break. Don't regret it one bit. Hell yes. I worked in a retail store that was farming based, but had the political atmosphere of Game of Thrones. Everyone hated each other and constantly tried to undermine one another. If you were talking to someone that someone else didn't like, it was known across the store, and suddenly, people would stop talking to you. As in, you would stand there and ask a question, and they would turn their back on you. I got zero training, got promoted to zone manager, more work with no extra pay, and then injured my foot falling off of one of their rickety wooden ladders. This caused everyone to turn on me because the store had to file a workman's comp claim. So they missed out on the annual reward, a visit to the Golden Corral buffet in January. Anyway, after about 2 weeks of mind-numbing boredom and having everyone staring daggers at me while I tried to figure out what the hell I was supposed to be doing, I just quit. Didn't give notice. Just left my badge and vest there and went to lunch and never came back. It took me a few months to find another job, but at least I was no longer alternating between openly weeping and feeling physically nauseous. Yep. My mental health is still not good, and now I'm broke. Yeah, I had been overworked and underpaid, and underappreciated, at a small resort for months. Tempers flared and I was given an ultimatum. I chose to walk out the door in the middle of the busy season. The next night I went to a bar and saw another resort owner and friend saying goodbye to his only employee. He typically had 2 to 3. I walked up after and the conversation went like this. Me. That sucks. Do you have anything else lined up? Him. Nope. I've got nothing. Me. Do you need somebody to help? Him. Do you need a job? Me. Yup. As of yesterday. Him. Show up tomorrow whenever you want and you've got the job. The rest of the summer I ran his cafe/shop. I had 7 years of cooking and 2 years retail management experience, and he ran the outfitter. The first day after showing me around the kitchen he had to go attend to something. When he came back I had 20 people already eating and I was chatting them up and cleaning. He looked around and goes, "Well, you're getting a raise." The rest of the summer was great. I quit after an argument with my boss because I didn't agree with how he did things. Within 2 months I started my own company doing what he did but the way I thought it should be done. I am still running that business and he shut his down 3 years ago. I quit a job working as a logistics manager for a hospital. It was the worst job I ever had. The union reps would constantly mess with you, taunting you and try to get you fired. I was constantly on edge and would basically snap over everything. I developed a huge persecution complex where everyone was out to get me. They would purposely feed you false information that would go against required practices. For example, one of the reps gave me a fake forecast for products we needed for the upcoming week, so I was to arrange the delivery /ordering and storing for the products. When I ordered it all and had it delivered I found out we needed like 1/4/10th of the products that was ordered. So I had to explain to the finance department why we exceeded our weekly budget. Basically my choices were be fired, or quit because of the colossal fuck up. I was 21 at the time. I'm now in school to get my bachelor's of accounting, so I guess it turned out pretty good because I could leave that horrible industry. Radio Shack. I worked there for about 3 months. They paid minimum wage plus commission, and the only ways to earn commissions was pushing useless extended warranties or cell phones. And we had to push batteries, like A and AAA batteries. We were expected to get so many of these things every so many customers minus batteries were like 1 out of every 10 customers. I got a headache every time I walked in for a shift, knowing I had to push this crap on people. The major turning point for me was when my manager minus, who was just an arrogant little man who was built like Danny DeVito with John C. Reilly's face minus, butted into a transaction of mine. The customer was a special needs man who was buying an up-convert DVD player. It didn't feel right to push the extras on this man, considering the circumstances. My boss saw this and forcibly took over the transaction and talked this poor man into buying extra cables and disc cleaner and warranties for everything he could. What should have been a roughly $50 purchase for this man ended costing him close to $100 when all was said and done. The cherry on top was when the man left. Manager printed a copy of his receipt, shoved up in my face and proceeded to brag about it. I quit a few weeks later. Luckily, I was able to go back to my old job for a while I looked for a permanent job. I ended up going back to school about a year or so later. I got fired when I had a breakdown, if that counts. Took me 12 months to get another job, and it's kinda obvious on my CV that something happened that ended in my contract being terminated. I quit my job when my partner died unexpectedly. We lived with their parents and I couldn't return living there after they passed. So I stayed at a friend's mom's place while they visited family out of town. I had paid a deposit on my phone due to bad credit, and after 6 months I'd get it back, which kept my phone alive during that time. Lived off of $1,000 for $3 months. I drank a lot and it was a bad time. At the end I ended up moving in with a friend. We shared a bedroom till I could afford my own place. My first day of my new job I had no money for food, but a friend worked at a bakery, so I had a whole pie for my lunch. Everyone thought I just really liked pie. My partner's old boss ended up giving me $300 to live off of while I waited for my first paycheck. It was the longest I hadn't worked since I was 16. Got banned from Whole Foods for a year for shoplifting food. Cried on public transit a lot. Been at the job for 4 years now and I'm doing pretty good. I fell further into depression, developed a drinking problem, spent all my savings and didn't work for nearly 2 years. Yeah, not doing that again. I worked for an insurance company for 6 years. Was fun at first, then went through a divorce and all 5 years in and stopped caring. So I quit, cashed out my 401k and drove from Indiana down to Key West and got fucking trashed for a week. Then traveled to various states and just hung out and did what the fuck ever. Lasted 3 months and then went back to Indiana and then went to work for a different insurance company. I don't regret it. It was healing and uplifting and met some cool people along the way. Honestly debating doing this right now. Don't know how much longer I can take this job.